Mungaret ak Bandaptai kong'eten olebo Kass TV itagat logoiwek karon chebo emet eng koskoleng'utab raini ak yeibata logoiwekab emet kenyoru ng'alalet noton nebo The Corner Office. Kainenyun ko Stanley Bore. Itagat kitaunen logoiwek karon chebo emet. Le kakukon kurset rubeiwot noton nebo President Professor Kithure Kindiki noton nebo kobit kecheng emotinwek noton nebo kocheng emotinwek karon chebo kocheng emotinwekab Africa ortinwek imuch koboisien en kanabtaet noton nebo bandaptai mising ko kobun chenget noton nebo rabinikab bandaptai en oret noton nenyumnyum. Kotiengei Kindiki ko nitok oret ne inegen anan nitok ko oret ne inegen neimuch kokanapta emotinwekab Africa kokanapta emotinwek chebo Africa mogornotet ak kokimit uchumi asikonyor chamet en kwenutab chemung'arainik chebunu emotinwek karon chebo sang chebwane kolumda mung'arosekwak en Africa. Kang'ololi Kindiki en taonitab Nairobi kasarta noton nekaindochin yatetab tuyet noton nebo 26 nebo kila kenyit nebo kibagengeitab African Trade and Investment Development Insurance ATIDI.
Ladies and gentlemen, ATIDI continues to demonstrate that de-risking investment is one of the most effective ways of attracting long-term capital investment into African economies. Over the last 25 years, the institution has facilitated billions of dollars in trade and investment across the continent, while supporting governments and businesses to navigate political, commercial, and sovereign risks that has benefited this continent. Kenya has benefited as well from its partnership with ATIDI. Over the past 2 years alone, ATIDI has facilitated $960 million in trade and investment in this country. And I'm sure the story is the same for many of our other countries represented here. Cumulatively, ATIDI has supported investments across energy, transport, manufacturing, financial services, agriculture, and even infrastructure amounting to $7 billion. Flagship projects, just to mention a few for this country, and I'm sure there are many in your own countries. In this country, some of the flagship projects supported by ATIDI include the Lake Turkana Wind Power Project, the Kipeto Wind Power Project, the Menengai Geothermal Development Project, and all these projects cumulatively have been able to deliver or will be delivering 500,000 households, will be delivering clean energy to over 500,000 households in this country. Africa stands at a defining moment in its development journey. We are progressively moving forward from dependence on externally driven development models towards greater self-reliance, stronger regional integration, and African-led financing institutions. Institutions such as ATIDI are central to this transformation because sustainable development requires confidence, confidence requires predictable institutions, and investment thrives where risk is effectively managed. As you are aware, President William Ruto has been one of the leaders of this continent who have been very clear that going forward, we must not only push for the reform of the global financial architecture, but we must also create African regional financial architecture that underwrites African development.
Logoiyot age kagomwa Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi kole magat kobit boisietab kibagenge en kurut noton nebo emotinwekab ng'wony ko oret noton nebo kobit kekirinda asenet neityin emotinwek kasarta noton nekabit mionwogik cheu nebo Ebola ne kokobar bogolusiekab biik en emet noton nebo DRC. Kotienge Mudavadi ko manyalu kobit emotinwek choton che itabanege kasarta noton ne kabit kaimutikab mionwogik ole kaboiboenji emetab Marekani en kamwa kole kikoek chorwet noton nebo kamanut en emet noton nebo Kenya kosubkei ak kayonjinet noton naat ko Health Cooperation Framework nekikinde siyet en kenyit noton nebo 2025. Ngololi Mudavadi en kapkiyok noton nebo Marekani en Nairobi kasarta noton nekakiyai igorta noton nekiboiboenjin kenyisiek 250 chebo katiaknatet nebo emonoton.
Kenya values mutually beneficial partnerships with the United States, particularly under the Health Cooperation Framework signed in 2025. That advances Kenya's healthcare agenda and strengthens preparedness for global health emergencies. It is important to note that the outbreak of the Ebola virus disease has been declared a public health emergency of international concern by the World Health Organization and a continental emergency by the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Kenya stands in solidarity with the countries affected by the Ebola outbreak and extends its deepest condolences to those who have lost loved ones. Evidently, such pandemics transcend borders and cannot be effectively contained by any state acting alone. We must therefore embrace collective action over isolationism and narrow nationalism. We thank the United States for partnering with Kenya in our national response to the disease. Since the outbreak was declared, Kenya has cumulatively screened 168,766 individuals to date. And so far, no case of Ebola has been recorded. We shall continue implementing these proactive measures for as long as it takes.
Kakokon kateunet ministry noton nebo tililindo Aden Duale koityi noton kakokon kateunet minister noton nebo tililindo Aden Duale koityi biikab emet kole en konekite kowendi serikali koteleli boisiet noton nebo pikipikisiek en tetutik chebo loiset noton nebo kerichek kong'eten tugosikab kerichek anan pharmacies agoi meng'atosiek anan chebo biik. Ng'ololi en tuyet noton netai nenaat ko Interministerial Steering Committee for the Kenya National Action Plan on Substandard and Falsified Medical Products ne kakiyai en Nairobi kobor kaimetabgei Duale akobo kit noton nekamwa kole agenge en tuguk chekikoib kwa barak mung'aretab kerichek chemoititotin en emoni ko boisiet noton nebo bodaboda en loisetab kerichek. Kabinitonin kasarta noton metab kibagengeitab Pharmacy and Poisons Board kosubkei ak mung'aret noton nekokwo barak nebo kerichek chemoititotin en emoni ole kayomis kole tete kolumda serikali oret noton nekiboisien en chikiletab kerichek chekioldoi en emet.
In fact, the Digital Health Agency and the Pharmacy and Poison Board are doing a pilot in the month of July, am I right? Yes. On the track and trace system. Once that pilot is completed in July and it goes live on the 1st of August, every drug, every medicine dispensed in our country, if it in one way or the other affects the patient, and the three items that Dr. Bauer raised, is it safe, effective, and the other one was what? And quality? Quality assurance. If that medicine will not meet those three criteria, we can trace to the pharmacist, trace to the distributor, to the wholesaler, all the way to the manufacturer, from a patient in the remote parts of our country. We are putting that in the digital superhighway.
You know, when we have fake uncertified seeds in agriculture, the worst that can happen is a crop failure. When this happens in the fuel industry, adulterated fuel, the worst that can happen is you lose your engine and your car, and you can buy another one. Unfortunately, in this field, when this happens, we lose lives, and we lose human lives. And it's unfortunate that from what I have seen here today, most of the human lives that have been lost, or most the people who are 6 foot under, they're not there because they never had the resources to buy the medicine, not because they did not seek the medical attention in good time. Most of them are there, or some of them are there, simply because the system failed them. And the system is seated here.
Very soon, the story where, you know, from the comfort of your house, you will order an antibiotic, and then you pay, then a border delivers. That will be history in Kenya. I want to tell you. It's good I have to tell you this thing. Our country is, and we have a coming health summit at the end of July, where we are going to call the county national government, and we will showcase these things, because we want to be a leader in our region and in Africa.
Kakolumda kibagengeit netelelchin namunetab mbarenik nebo National Land Commission NLC arorutik karan cheboru ole nyolu bit keboisioito mbarenik karan chebo serikali chenemu serikalisekab county koboto kibagengeisiek cheterter chebo serikali. Kong'ololi en igorto noton nebo lumdaetab arorutik choton komwa Auditor General Nancy Kathungu kole arorutik choton kotoreti en kirindaet noton nebo kaimutik cheboto chorsetab mbarenikab boror cheu chebo sugulisiek, sipitalisiek ak alak ole nyolu bit keboisien mbarenik choton en ortinwek cheikochini keljin biik karan chebo emet.
Waluti choto lelach kobun kibagengeitab National Lands Commission konyolu kosuldae kibagengeisiekab serikali cheboto sugulisiek, sipitalisiek ak serikalisekab counties.
As a commission, we decided we needed to have guidelines so that we can give them to all the public institutions that own land, to show them how they need to plan it and how they even need to account for whatever land that they have. This is also as a result of the massive land grabbing in Kenya, encroachment, and also land being used for purposes that it was not set out for. So these guidelines will help all the institutions in Kenya, including the county governments, as well as even the national government, that whatever land is in their custody, they must be able, one, to account for it, and two, to also show the extent of the land.
Kosubke ang nabangejeret eng kibagengeitab National Land Commission, Dr. Abdullahi Alawi, ko magat eng kibagengeisiek choto kokoito tetutikwak cheiboru ole moche koboisieito imbarenik choto.
More plentiful leads to environmental protection, also designing sustainable development, and also fitting all our plans into one place where we can gather information on how to invest, or where not to invest, and just protecting our fragile protected areas.
Once this is implemented, we will have all the inventory of the public land. We are aware to the fact that most of the public land is being stolen, grabbed illegally, or mismanaged. But now, once we have this guideline, all the public agencies, institutions, national government, and county governments would have an inventory of the actual acreage amount of land available in this country.
Kamwa Auditor General Nancy Kathungu kole nyolu eng kibagengeisiek chenomu imbarenikab boror kokonor komie title deeds akonai kiwato nebo imbarenikwak.
It will be easy for us to have a conversation between the auditor and the entity. Do you own this land? Yes. Do you have title to this land? What is the plan for this land? Are you implementing? Do you have the budget? It will be easier now to raise an audit query that has a root cause if there is an exception, so to speak.
Mwae arorutik chotok kole kibagengeisiek chekatemene koboisie imbarenik chenomu konyolu koekyi serikali.
In 5 years' time, we'll be able to monitor and evaluate and ascertain that the public institutions have actually adhered to the land use management policy. If an institution has not planned, has not shown indication of how they need to use the land, then they must surrender that land back to the government for another institution to use the same land.
If you fail to plan on a land asset and it is not utilized for the benefit it's supposed to be, then it doesn't have value, or the project has no value. And you heard me talk about the white elephants, the stalled projects, the abandoned projects, the finished projects that are not in use. That is fiscal indiscipline, that is loss of public resources. Then we go to Article 226 on responsibilities of accounting officers for misuse of public resources.
Ariboten chini Kass logoiwekab emet eng county nebo Nairobi. Kainenyu ko Samson Kurgat.
Kagomonge kibagengeit noton neituitos chemungarainikab matatu en county nebo Kericho nenaat ko Kericho Matatu Owners Association agomwa kole tesetai ak tetutik kora chetokyinigei kalitetetab boisiet en sekta noton nebo matatu en county nebo Kericho. Mwae kandoikab kibagengeit noton kole magat kobit boisiet ak tilyandit noton nemie en kwenunywan ak serikali asikobit kekirinda kaimutik koboto yautik cheng'eme boisionikwak. Robert Sele ak report.
Kamwa ng'alalindetab kibagengeitab chemung'arainikab matatu nebo Matatu Owners Association en county nebo Kericho Wilfred Momanyi kole tokyingei taunetab tetutik cheikochin icheket kasuldaetab boisiet akobois kibagenge ak serikalitab emoni ak nebo county asimaimak icheket.
Tutakuwa na utaratibu ambayo utakaendesha biashara yetu katika Kericho County, ikiwemo stakabati zinazohitajika kwa magari zetu na hata kwa ofisi zetu. Tutashirikiana na ofisi ya serikali kuu na serikali ya county kuona kwamba biashara yetu ya transport ya uchukuzi imetilia mikazo yale ambayo yanayohitajika na imeheshimika, haswa sana sehemu ambapo magari zetu zinaegezwa. Tutarudi kupatana na county tuweze kuwasiliana na kuweka mikakati na mipango kamili vile ambavyo gari zetu tutakavyofanya kazi hapa Kericho.
Kosubkei ak Momanyi kokokoit lewenetab officials chelelach chebo kibagengeitab chemung'arainikab matatu en county noton nebo Kericho ole kokilewen Isaiah Rotich koek nebo ng'echeret, rubeiwotab nebo ng'echeret ko Felix Magut ak sirindet ko Simon Rop ole James Ng'etich konomu rabisiek ole kayamis boisietab kibagenge koib walet en mung'aret ak sekta nebo matatu en county noton.
Tuna chairman, tuna vice chairman na pia viongozi wengine. Mashida zetu zote tutazielekeza kwa hiyo ofisi mpya na tunatarajia kwamba yatatatuliwa vile yanavyohitajika.
Karirtaen Momanyi halietab mwanik nemiten barak en emet ole kasom serikalitab emoni kotestai ak tetutikab koriek halietab mwanik en kasarta nekasom chikiletab ketisiosiekab karisiek en county nebo Kericho asikoyai boisiet en oret nenyolu cheboto kora yaetab ng'alalet ak serikalitab emoni en kewelutik ak magutik alak tugul chetinye ak kemaken sekta nebo matatu en emet.
Aswa sasa tunalalamikia ama tunalia sana kwa mafuta sababu biashara yetu mafuta yakiongezeka tunakuwa na shida kwa sababu abiria hatuwezi kuongezea bei. Na pia pande ya stage vile ambavyo mahala ambapo tuliwekwa kama stage, ijapokuwa tunaenda kuketi chini na viongozi wa county tuweze kutatua, iko sehemu ambayo imejificha sana, lakini ni mambo ambayo tutaketi na county tuweze kuyatatua, na mambo mengine ambayo tuko nayo challenges kwa barabara.
Kabit niton en kasarta netokyingei kibagengeitab National Transport and Safety Authority NTSA en emoni koib ng'atutik chebo chikiletab karisiek anan inspection ko oretab keisto karisiek chemonyolu komiten en ortinwek asikotoret en chorunet ak kirindaetab nyasutik en ortinwek en emoni. Aripotenjin logoiwekab emet chebo Kass kong'eten county nebo Kericho, kainenyun ko Robert Siele.
Ak kagomong kibagengeit noton nebo chikilisiet nebo Infotrack Harris walutik kora chebo chikilisiet ne koyai en emet komugul kotokyinigei koib keret noton nebo biikab emet akobo boisiet noton nebo kandoik chekikilewen cheboto MPs senators, county MPs ak MCAs. En chikilisyo noton ko kamuch kotebsen Infotrack biik 87,286 en counties tugul 47 anan en counties tugul 47 constituencies tugul 290 koboto wardisiek tugul 1,450. Alak en kandoik che kotok kotindoi chamet koboto MP noton nebo Embakasi East Babu Owino nekanam namba agenge en kwenutab MPs. Senator nebo Kirinyaga Kamau Murago nekaibelis en kwenutab senators county MP noton nebo Kirinyaga Jane Maina ne kaindo en kwenutab women reps tugul.
The top woman rep with 67% was from Kirinyaga County. She's out of the country. She's in. She's represented. Okay, is Honorable Njeri Maina. I spoke to her on Sunday. This is the second time. She was top last time as well, with a lower percentage. So her percentage has gone up by about 11 points. And then the second women rep is from West Pokot, Honorable Rael Kasiwai with 61. Then we have at 60%, we had a tie for number 3 for Pauline Lenguris of Samburu and Honorable Elsie Muhanda of Kakamega. Again, the top senator is Honorable Kamau Murango. He's also out of the country. He spoke to my colleague Jovin. His rating was 69%. The top 3 are from Central. Then we have number 2, John Methu. From Nyandarua. And then number 3 is Joel Mutu. The top scoring MP, second time, is Babu Owino. He did very well. He had 80. We checked the number again. We started off with Nairobi in January, but because we needed to be fair, we did the study again in May, just to be sure that the numbers were okay for everybody. And Babu, Babu kwa sababu uko hapo. We also have Honorable John Kalasinga not far behind. Yes, thank you. Please. Number 2 is just there, as is number 3, which is a tie. Honorable Dindi Nyoro and Honorable John Brire of Taveta.
Kagomwa Vice Chancellor nebo Masai Mara University Professor Penina Alo kole tauge konegite teksit noton nebo university nelele naat ko Joanna Ngeno University College en mbaret noton nemite sukulitab secondary noton nebo Simotwet en wadit noton nebo Olol Masani county nebo Narok. Amun kokobit rabinik ak magutik tugul choton chebo kobit ketoi sukul noton en kasarta noton nekayai tuyet ak kandoik meng'ik koboto stakeholders chebo somanet kobun Emurwa Digiri en sukulitab Simotwet Secondary. Komwa Professor Alo kole bendi ketaunen teksit noton nebo ofisisiek, classrooms ak hostels asobit ketoi kipsomaninik en chokyinet ak kotestai sukul noton koet kou university salak.
Tumesha identify mahali tutaweka tuition block, mahali watoto watakuwa wanasoma na mahali watakuwa wanalala, dormitory. Tumeelewana na watu wa housing, na ya mwisho tumeangalia mahali ya ofisi, na nimesema hata mimi ofisi yangu itakuwa hapa, called administration block. Sasa tumemaliza hiyo mambo ya ku-identify the sites. Tunaelekea sasa mwisho ya hii, and then after this sasa construction itaanzishwa, kwa sababu walikuwa wanangoja wakubwa wa chuo kikuu wanasema watataka nini ijengwe where do you want us to put what. Hiyo sasa tumemaliza. Nataka tu niseme nimefurahi leo vile nilisema huko ndani, mimi nimejazwa na furaha kwa sababu sikujua hii siku itafika. Ati tutakuja hapa kufanya site location ati mahali ya kujenga, sikujua. Tangu tuanze hii mradi ya kutengeneza mambo ya Joanna Ng'eno University College, tumekuwa na ups and down, lakini tunashukuru mwenye ako juu mbinguni. Alijua siku ya leo tutakuja hapa kuanzisha mambo ya kuestablish hii university. Kwa hivyo nashukuru Mungu, nashukuru wazee, nashukuru viongozi. Najua deputy governor anasimamishia governor hapa, MP ako hapa, MC ako hapa, administration team wako hapa, kila mtu amekuja tuone vile tutaanzisha hii. Mimi kama Vice Chancellor wa Masai Mara University nataka kuhakikisha wazee na viongozi wote tuko pamoja kwa hii safari. Tutatembea ana kwa ana mpaka tuone Joanna Ng'eno University College imekuwa established.
Kamiten barak boiboiyet en komosta noton nebo Ainabkoi en county nebo Uasin Gishu yekan kotach sugulisiek cheite mut tangisiek karon chebo beek chebo litaisiek 10,000 kobun benkit noton nebo Sidian. Mwa konetik cheechen chebo sugulisiek choton kole bendi kotoreti tangisiek choton en kayumet ak konoretab beek ak konyumnyumchi kipsomaninik somanet.
Kosubkei ak kanetik chotok cheechen eng sugulisiekab Lamaek Secondary School ak Kapsoya Comprehensive, kondochin Susan Kuto ak Beverlyn Langat koboibochin nyorunetab konunotoikab tangisiek chotok chebo beek litaisiek chesire 10,000 chekanyor kubun benki notok pa Sidian.
Nasema asante sana kupata hii tangi kwa sababu pale shule tumekuwa na changamoto ya maji. Mara nyingi hatuna maji, wakati maji hakuna tumekuwa tukinunua maji na hatuna storage, lakini siku ya leo tunasema asante sana.
Enjorwanini kwa kenyoru raini sukul tangi neo nebo 10,000 liters neimuche tangi ni kotai beek asikoboisien lagok kiunen korik, kechoben amitwogik, kiunen sanisiek ak keboisien en kasarta nekoi akobet tabut nebo beek. Amun ngandan kitindoi beek chebunu Eldowas kebiru kityo en Jumamos ak Jumapili. Ko tangini kotoretech kotach beek chetakobure ak keboisien en betusiek chemiten lagok sukul.
Kobun Simeon Mwangi ak Wilson Mutai kobun benki notok kokaib kakwautietab kowekta eut anan CSR koityi meng'ikab constituency noton nebo Ainabkoi ak sugulisiek chotok konyorchigei beek.
As a bank, we understand the challenges that most of our institutions are going through in accessing clean water, especially the primary schools. So we partner with the constituencies to deliver tanks to the schools so that the pupils can have access to clean water. And also we can also reduce the time taken by these children to go fetch water. Some of them, they carry water from home, which is a big burden and definitely affects their performance.
Kimeche akichek kebwa kelechi kongoi community akakibwa ra kikoite tangisiek chebo beek asikotoret lagokab sukul akotoret community nemi asiko maek beek ko chebwone akobendi koek beek komuch kokonor beek ngoroboni kokonor beek.
Katach konunotoi chotok nebo ng'echeret eng NGCDF komosta nebo Ainabkoi Moses Komen nemwoe ine kole wendi konyumnyumchin tangisiek chotok kaumetab beek eng sugulisiekab komoswek chotok. Kong'eteke taonitab Eldoret eng county nebo Uasin Gishu, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyu ko Isaac Kogei.
Kakolumda serikali tetutiet noton nenaat ko National Agri-Food Systems Investment Plan NASIP nebo kenyitab 2026 agoi kenyit noton nebo 2030 netokyingei koib walutik ak kokanapta sekta noton nebo kabatisiet agoi komuktechi emetab Kenya konyor amitwogik choton cheyome ak konyor kelchin kabatik kobun kabatisiet. Mwaat kele kibendi keboisien rabinik kesire silingisiek trilion 1 en tetutiet noton ole kimong'u kora kobit boroinwek cheite million 2 kobun sekta nebo kabatisiet. Kong'ololi nekata minista noton nebo kabatisiet Mutai Kagwe en tuyet noton nebo kenyini nebo Financing Agri-Food Systems Sustainably Finance Summit nekakiyai en Nairobi komwa PS noton nebo livestock Jonathan Mweke kole nyoru kamuget serikali nebo kobit kokanapta kabatisiet nebo minutik nebo kiagik njirenik koboto kabisisiet noton nebo mbarenik kobun NASIP.
Climate change is reshaping agricultural production. Global markets remain volatile. Food demand continues to rise, yet investments in our agri-food systems have not kept pace with the opportunity. This means that for Africa, the long-term trajectory of our continental GDP, food sovereignty, climate resilience, and rural livelihoods hinges entirely on the strategic choices we deploy today regarding the capital architecture of our agri-food systems. From the dairy clusters of Kenya's Nyandarua and tea networks of Kericho to the cocoa landscapes of West Africa, the livestock economies of the Horn of Africa, and the high-value horticultural zones of North Africa, millions of citizens depend on vibrant agri-food value chains for their economic survival. Across Africa, the agricultural sector receives a disproportionately small share of commercial credit, a capital mismatch that has been further exacerbated by tightening global monetary policies, volatile exchange rates, and sovereign physical constraints. Consequently, smallholder networks, pastoralist cooperatives, and agri-MSMEs, particularly those driven by women and youth, remain locked out to affordable, long-term capital, while facing heightened production risks from climate-induced shocks, disrupted global supply logistics, and rapid demographic pressures. These realities compel us to rethink not only how we finance agriculture, but how we deliver our collective commitments as a continent. Kenya has chosen to respond to this challenge through bold policy reforms that position agriculture not merely as a social sector, but a competitive and investable economic sector. We recognize that public resources alone cannot finance agricultural transformation. Government must therefore play a different role, not as a sole financier, but an enabler of investment, a manager of risk, and a trusted partner in creating the conditions for sustainable private capital to flourish. Today, I am equally proud that the 2026 FINAS Summit provides the platform for the official launch of the National Agri-Food Systems Investment Plan, NASIP 26 to 2030.
Again, logoiwek ketinye ureriosiek ko en tarikit 11 arawaniton nebo tisab kotokyingei konyek tugul Keyo South county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet labatet noton nebo the Kaptagat Conservation Run ole kimongu komongei rwoik cheite 3,000 en categories terter chebo labatanaton. En 2025 ko makiyai labatetab full marathon kobaten kotiengei sirindet noton nebo kibagengeitab labatet nebo AK mornet noton nebo Elgeyo Marakwet County Boniface Tiren ako en edition noton nebo kenyini konyoru boroindo rwoik kobor talendaisiek kwak en labatanaton. Andrew Kimeto report.
Kakong'ong kibengeitab Athletics Kenya mornetab county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet kole tesetai eng oret neititaat tetutik chetokchinigei labatetab marathon nebo the Kaptagat Integrated and Conservation Program netetat kiyai eng tarik 11 arawetab tisab eng Keyo South. Labatanata ko agenge eng tetutik chebo igortab 10 anan the 10th edition nebo ripsetab bitunekab emet eng Kaptagat Water Tower nemite county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet.
Kaptagat Integrated Conservation Run that we are set
We are prepared. Everything is in place. We expect over 3,000. We expect over 3,000 athletes to register. And we want to go, going into future, we would like not only athletes, we want also the community to participate in running. If we can have about 10,000 people running, it is not only for running, it's also good for their health. And remember, they will be running inside the forest. And you know what you get from the forest? The very clean and fresh air. Very clean and fresh air.
Kosubkei ak sirindet nebo kibengenoto bo Athletics Kenya eng county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet Boniface Tiren komwa kole eng editions chikobata kokirwae 21 kilometers kityo ako eng kenyini kokilabati full marathon noto ko oret nebo kokochi rwoik boroindo nebo komong talantaisiek kwai eng marathon.
The last year we had 2 kilometers, we had 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers and 21. This time we have upgraded it to 42 kilometers. So that is another new thing so far as running is concerned. So you know, this is also a milestone to this particular event. Remember that we have about 7,377,000 prize money for grabs for all the categories. You can see that is also another credible thing. Last time we didn't have so much as this. This time we have much money that goes to the pockets of our athletes, and that one will bring a big change in the day-to-day life.
Kaikimit komwa Tiren kole labatanata kobo konoisechi biik missing ko rwoik akobo kamanutietab ripsetab itonwekab emet taban eng labatosiek.
In the back of the mind of the patron, that apart from conserving the forest, the people will benefit. How will the people benefit? Remember, there will be distribution of seedlings, cash crop seedling, tea and coffee, fruits, avocado. Also, there will be also distribution, giving out livestock, that's cows, and great pedigree dopers that will come and change the breeds we have around. So on that, and this one goes directly to the people.
Kongete county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyu ko Andrew Kimeto.
Agoyoran jitab kalenjin kagetuch logoiwek karan chebo emet en saini tesaiger Kass TV amun kimnatet naet. Kainenyu ko Stanley Bore. Saisere.